Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to week 6 of Bites and Bikes. Can't believe we're at week 6 already. Hope y'all have enjoyed being part of this club, the different recipes and tips that I've been sharing. It's been really cool to see people out there sharing the different recipes that I put out there, putting their own twist on it, using it to help fuel their rides. So, really cool. And I think it's just the start of a lot of great things to come. So I'm super pumped to be sharing week 6 with you here. As some of you know from last week, I just got back actually now from a little 9 day spring break trip where I went out to Moab first and foremost. And there I was taking a BICP level 2 instructor course. That's where I was learning new skills as an instructor and how to coach and teach other people to ride bikes. So that was pretty cool. Met a lot of great people out there, rode some local trails, helped advance my skills as a coach and as a biker. And then while I was out there, I knew the White Rim road ride. It's this 100-mile desert route, kind of dirt, gravel, sandy roads that just cross makes this loop that includes incredible views, desert views, slick rock, high mesas. Just made me feel really small out there. But I was able to complete that ride in a day solo. And I know some of you may have an interest in taking on big, gnarly events like this. So I just wanted to do a quick recap of my ride in terms of sort of the route, the nutrition and hydration plan, a little bit about bike gear and setup, so that if you ever want to take on this specific ride or a similar ride, hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of what goes into preparing for these types of rides from a setup standpoint, as well as nutrition and hydration. So I'm just going to kind of walk through some key items that you'll also see laid out in this edition. Um, so here I lay out the ride details in terms of the route. I did it clockwise. I started around 7 in the morning. It took about 9 hours. I was shooting for 8. But I hit some gnarly winds at like mile 50 where it was just, it drained me. So I ended up being out there a little longer than expected. Terrain, it's pretty flat in terms of distance and elevation gain, has some short, punchy climbs, sandy in situations, rocky, slick rock that you cross over every once in a while, but not too technical of riding. I think the key piece to point out is the safety plan that I mentioned here. If you're doing something solo and you're out in a remote environment like the desert here, and cell service was at a minimum, always have a safety plan in place. So what I did the day before is that I basically what I'm sharing with you now is what I shared with my wife and another couple that I knew in Moab that was around. And I let them know of my route plan, expected start and finish times, emergency contact information in the area in case I needed to get rescued for whatever reason. And then I flat out told them, if you don't hear from me by the expected ended time, start inquiring about me. So I think that's just super important. And it's something that for us as cyclists just to keep in mind to have that safety plan um, in the works. Here's me starting my ride, big smile on my face, going down Schaefer Road here. A sweet way to start out the ride. So now just to talk about the hydration and nutrition plan that goes with this, I broke it down by pre-ride, during ride, and post-ride. So pre-ride, it was a pretty early morning, so I would have liked to gotten in a meal a little bit, um, you know, usually I recommend 2 to 3 hours before a big ride. I didn't really have that time, but I knew this is I was in this one for the long haul, so I wasn't afraid to have, a decent sized meal to help fuel me for what's ahead. And I can't think of a better meal than what I have right here, and that's Bircher muesli. It's soaked, muesli in milk. It makes it a really easy meal for when you're camping, and you can stick a big bowl like this in your cooler, prep it before you leave, and it has everything you need to help fuel a ride with the complex carbs, some nuts and seeds. Then you add nut butter and fruit to it. And it's just a great way to start out a ride and fuel you for something like this. So super easy to pack muesli on a camp trip. Um, Swigging on water the day before and leading up to the ride too, especially in a kind of hotter, drier environment. It wasn't too hot out there. The wind did help keep me a little cool, but just keep that in mind. And I think I point that out in the during the ride segment. I list out everything as far as hydration, sports hydration. You scratch there. Got an extra bottle from someone out there that filled up my water bottle. So just to talk about hydration a little bit more too, I feel like I packed enough water with what I have listed out here. But then when the wind hit and I ended up being out there a little bit longer, I started, to get low on water, started rationing it out a little bit more. And I wish I would have had a little more packed on me. So just keep in mind those crazy things that may happen. So always pack a little bit more water. Um, than you think you may need just in case those unexpected things come up. So when it got to that point and I knew I was going to be out there longer and I had a little water left, I ended up using this Scratch Wellness packet right here. And this is probably one of their less known products, but it says on the back, use this with 16 ounces of water. Drink one when you start to feel severely dehydrated or have an upset stomach. I didn't necessarily have those symptoms, but I knew I was running low on water. I was out in the desert. It was a little hot. So I kind of used this as a preventative just because, if you get behind on hydration, it's hard to come back. So this ended up working out well for me. So I just carry this in my pack as sort of an emergency hydration product. So that's a little bit of the hydration plan. To talk a little bit about food. And I linked out to the recipes here. Salted caramel s'mores energy bar, hit the spot, easy to pack. But I think my favorite ride snack on this is a newer recipe, these sweet potato almond butter energy cakes. And I have one right here. These are awesome and they just hit the spot. What I like about it is that it was really easy to eat. It has some sweet potato in it, so you get in your veggies. And then there's also oats, almond butter, so a really like sustaining snack for a long ride. And then I experimented by adding in a little lemon juice and lemon zest to these. And I think just that citrusy touch out in the desert helped these hit the spot. And you probably may have heard of the classic kind of blueberry. I have dry blueberries in here. You may have heard like of the blueberry lemon zest combo. So it just worked out really well and loved eating on those. And then a few scratch. I don't always make everything homemade. A few scratch products like these always come in hand. So there is my nutrition plan. But yeah, most important, I would focus on the hydration plan and making sure you have enough water via bottles and whatever kind of Camelback that you are taking with you. Post ride, just to touch on it quick. So the White Rim is in the canyon lands, and there's like no food or water or any kind of services within 30 miles. Didn't have the best recovery nutrition plan for that, so I just snacked on some trail mix. So I had that recipe linked out here. Had tortilla chips, something nice and salty. And then I kind of had my mind set, I think the night before when I was tenting out, that what am I going to eat after my ride? And I do this a lot, but I'm like, I'm going to be hot, sweaty. I'm going to be out in a dry environment. I want something cool, juicy, fresh. So I had my mindset on getting frozen yogurt. So I went into town afterwards, got a frozen strawberry cheesecake yogurt with fresh strawberries, blueberries, raspberry puree, graham cracker crumbs, and it just hit the spot. So, and then I fueled, especially afterwards, 3 hours afterwards, with a veggie sandwich, chips, and a little macaroon that I picked up from a shop. So, last, just to share with you some bike setup and gears. I rode my XC full suspension bike, 2.4 Maxxis Recon on the front, had a slick tire on the back. I think this tire setup was pretty good to roll through relatively smooth terrain. The Revelate Designs top tube bag, that's where I stored all of these bad boys here. So just easy snacking. I didn't stop too often. Here and there I did, but Again, this top two bag, it just latches open. It has this magnetic latch on it, so you can just pull it open, pull out your food, eat it. It'll close for you. You don't need to worry about fidgeting with closing that top two bag. Have the Osprey Solida 12 backpack here. This was my wife's because it had a bigger bladder. I usually carry a smaller one. Figured that it was designed for women. I didn't know that until after posting this, but ended up working great for me. But any ladies out there following Bike to Goods here, maybe a good pack for y'all to check out. And I missed this, but this Patagonia Houdini jacket is the best jacket I think I've ever owned for mountain biking. It's like, first and foremost, like you can get it down to this size right here. It's like super lightweight, just helps to keep your temperature controlled. I don't really know how to explain it, but it also kind of serves as a wind jacket and a light-proof rain jacket too. It's not fully waterproof, but I wear this thing 9 out of 10 times on all my rides. And with the wind and the sand blowing around, kind of helped shelter me from the environment there, but it doesn't keep me too hot or anything either. So really clutch jacket. If anything, out of all these items, this is a sweet jacket. Had some Riser 45 North merino gloves. These are liner gloves, but I wear them just as bike gloves. They have probably can't see them here, but they have some padding on them too, just for a little more support. And then I listed all the different bike parts and tools. Like, since I was doing this solo, I probably overpacked a little bit, but I was just thinking ahead, having 2 extra tubes, bike levers, multiple CO2s and a plug, brought a hand pump, multi-tool, valve cord remover, and then just some other miscellaneous items, sunscreen, you don't want to get burnt. Had some chapstick that had sunscreen built into it. Mini chain lube was clutch on this ride at about mile 50 or 60. Started hearing some weird tweaks and cranks, so pulled this out, wiped off my chain with a rag and applied this, and that helped solve that. Even though I was riding through light most of the day, just in case of an emergency or anything, packed a headlight and some small first aid items and an emergency poncho just to be on the safe side of things. So yeah, there it is. I hope you enjoy this. If you have any more specific questions, I know, these big rides entail a lot. So whatever questions you may have regarding a ride of this size or length, reach out to me. I include my contact information on the bottom here. Live chat with me, email me. Be happy to answer any questions and help you get out on a ride like this. So enjoy week 6. Good to be back home. Didn't even point this out, but we just finally finished a project at our house with our kitchen renovation. You may have seen earlier that for a while we were rocking this open concept, but that's because our doors were delayed, and it took us longer than expected, but finally got it done. And huge shout out to my wife. She worked on that project, managed it, and I am super stoked to get cooking and baking out of it. So right on, peace. Enjoy this week's edition of Bites and Bikes. Enjoy the new recipes I put out there, and hope to hear from y'all soon. Peace.